My father is having an affair with his mom. For years, I thought I understood the nature of betrayal, but never did I imagine it would take this shape, a twisting of the very fabric of my family, a knot so tangled it suffocates us all. My father, whose laugh I used to chase as a child, whose hand I trusted to guide me, betrayed my mother for years. This in itself is a wound deep enough to never truly heal, but it is what came after that carved a hole so vast I am certain nothing will ever fill it. 11 years ago, a letter arrived at our door like a ghost. It was from my father's biological mother, Martha. She had tracked him down after decades of silence. At first, we all saw it as a miracle, a missing piece of his story returning to him, finally giving him the roots he'd always longed for. My mother, bless her, welcomed it with open arms. She stood by him as he reunited with his past, urging him to meet Martha, to reconnect, to fill the gaps in his history. We were hopeful, naive in a way that now feels almost cruel. But something was wrong from the start, though none of us could name it then. My father, once so present in our lives, began drifting away, slipping out of the house for long stretches, always with an excuse, always with Martha. At first, my mother let it pass. After all, how do you deny a man the chance to know his mother? But as his absences grew longer and his returns colder, her tears began to fall. Night after night, she wept alone in the shadow of his promises that nothing was wrong. He would hold her in his arms and whisper, "She's just my mother. What is there to fear?" And then came the night the dam broke. The words he spoke shattered the air, shattered us. The truth, obscene in its simplicity. He wasn't just spending time with her. He was having a relationship with her, a romantic one, with his own mother. I cannot begin to describe the sickness that followed. How does one comprehend a betrayal of this nature? The mind falters, the soul recoils, and yet the heart, treacherous as it is, refuses to fully close the door. My father, who had cheated on my mother countless times before, had crossed a line that made all the others pale in comparison. He had fallen into a madness I cannot fathom, and in doing so, had torn our family apart, not with the blunt force of infidelity, but with the grotesque intimacy of this new relationship. After the confession, he moved into the basement, a ghost who haunted us from below, existing but never living among us. We stopped being a family that night. My mother's heart cracked in ways no human should ever experience. She divorced him, though it felt more like she was divorcing the nightmare her life had become. And he left. Not just left, but disappeared into a life closer to her, his mother, choosing her over us, as though we were nothing but a chapter he had closed long ago. And here I am, left standing in the wreckage of what we once were. I want to hate him. Every fiber of my being screams for that release. To hate him would be easier, wouldn't it? To sever the last remaining ties, to scream at him, to tell him the depth of the pain he has inflicted on us all. But I can't. Because despite everything, I still love him. That love, that unbreakable bond we shared when I was young, it refuses to die. And that is the cruelest part of all. I see the shame in his eyes when I speak to him, when I allow those rare, painful conversations. I see how the weight of his choices is crushing him. There's a part of me that fears if I push him away for good, if I unleash the full fury of my anger, he will not survive it. I am terrified that if I do, he will take his own life, and I cannot bear the thought of being responsible for that final, irreversible end. So here I stand at a crossroads I never imagined. Do I let him back into my life, knowing what he has done? Or do I walk away forever, leaving him to his guilt and shame, knowing that if I do, it might be the last time I ever see him alive? I don't have an answer. I don't know if there is one. But I know this, the love I carry for him, tainted as it is, will never be simple again. It is a love laced with bitterness, with betrayal, and with the impossible weight of forgiveness. And yet it remains. I find it difficult to comprehend the immense burden you now carry, a weight so heavy it seems it must crush the soul. The betrayal, the profound confusion that comes with it, these are not simple sorrows to bear. And yet, you stand at the precipice, your heart torn in two, pulled between the love that still pulses through you for your father and the unbearable pain he has inflicted upon you. It is no contradiction to feel both at once. Life, in its endless complexity, often demands we harbor emotions that, on the surface, seem irreconcilable. This struggle does not diminish you. It does not make you weak. You are under no obligation to resolve this inner conflict swiftly. Time, the silent witness to all suffering, will work at its own pace, and you must give yourself permission to let it. There is no need to rush towards an answer or force yourself into a decision when your heart is still raw. Allow yourself grace, the kindness you so deserve, and take each day as it comes. Your own healing, too, is a sacred path, one that you have every right to walk with care, without guilt, without pressure to mend faster than you are ready.